Hey, thanks for joining us. This is Calling All Cupids, where you play matchmaker. We all have those friends and relatives who have been on and off the dating apps with no luck. We're Sue and Tamar, and we're trying something different. We're not matchmakers, although Tamar did set me up with my husband.
Every episode, we present someone looking for love, a love seeker. We chat with them and those close to them. This is where you come in. You're our Cupids. If you have someone you know who is a catch and you think would be a good fit for our love seeker, reach out and let's see if we can make a love connection.
Okay, let's get started.
Absolutely. Hi.
Hi.
It's so good to get started again. How many times have we tried to do this?
Many.
Many.
Got a little derailed along the way. So Sue, why don't you start by just telling everybody who we are and what we're trying to do here.
So I'm Sue,
I'm Tamar.
and Tamara and I met in 2008. She had a photography studio, and I had an art gallery in the same small town where I was living, and Tamar was traveling to. This is terrible. Anyway, um, shortly after I met Tamar, I ended up leaving my marriage. And Tamar and I were friendly, but not intimate. So she knew me, but didn't know the details of my life, I would say.
No.
Um,
No, we were newish
New
friends.
friends. And I moved out of my family home on July 22nd, 2009. And Tamar called me a couple weeks after that and said, I have a friend. Would you be open and interested in meeting him? And I'm like, sure. Because there was no getting over a heartbreak in my marriage. I was
Right.
very
You
ready
were
to
ready.
be done and in a different relationship. Um,
But you also said,
and then I asked you some questions.
is he tall?
I asked you more than just that. That's the only one you remember.
You
But I
did.
did
What else
ask
did
you
you
if he's
ask
tall,
me?
and he is not tall.
Wait, what did you ask
I
me?
asked you if he was
If he smoked
liberal.
pot?
Yeah, I asked you if he
Okay,
smoked
well,
weed.
those were the easy ones.
Yeah, that was funny because I asked if he was liberal, and he thought that was hysterical because he's a political scientist professor from New York City, and he's Jewish. So he didn't even think the question needed to be asked.
Asked.
But so that answered that question. And I asked if he smoked weed.
Yeah.
Those are the three things.
Okay. And then you asked if he was tall.
Right.
And I said,
You
no.
said no, and I said, "Oh shit," because Tamar is you
5 feet tall on a good day.
5 feet tall on a good day. So for her to recognize that somebody else is not tall is an indicator that they're probably
Not
not.
tall.
Um,
Not tall.
but
He's not tall. He's not 6 feet tall. And then there's not tall, like
not yeah, yeah,
he's
he's
shorter than average.
yeah.
And then you said, okay, is he taller than me? And I said, I think so.
And I think he may have been my height when we met. And the other thing I realized recently is that when I met him, he was sitting down.
Okay, well, that's good
And we had this really amazing connection at lunch, and I forgot
that he,
that he
right,
was short. He's
right.
not as short when he's sitting either.
And how that was, you've been married
We've
now
been married for 10 years.
10 years
We've
and
been
you've been
together
together
for
15, more than 15, almost
15
16
years.
years
Yeah. So it's crazy. He was the first person and only person,
that
well,
you
kind
dated
of.
after your,
Yeah, after I left.
kind of?
Well, I had a weekend where I
No,
had a crazy,
had a crazy
yeah.
weekend. We don't need to know
Well,
about.
we won't get into that.
Okay, at least not today.
Not today.
But we have always loved to kind of make these connections. In fact, we were just at lunch today with a friend and you were making a job connection.
Yes, we may have found her an employee today, which would be, so I think it's just the way we operate.
Right.
And we assume that there are other people like us out there
Right.
who, when they hear about somebody who's single,
this is a bit of a tangent, but
Yeah,
I
for sure.
just did Gollum and the Genie for my book club.
Hmm.
And there's this one character in Gollum and the Genie, Mariam Fadul. I think that's her name. I'm going to be embarrassed if it's wrong. But she is in the Syrian community and she is so involved in everybody's business, gossiping and passing on the gossip, but it's from such a kind-hearted place and she's always manipulating. Like somebody needs to hire this person, but so she'll bring it up and they'll be like, yeah, but this other person doesn't live there. She's like, well, but so and so's renting the apartment. They're like, no, they're not. Yeah, but they're moving because they have a job. Like she
She knows.
manipulates everything and everything works out, but it's all like because she meddles, but it's from like a kind-hearted,
Hmm.
not mean gossip place, but more like let me make these connections and solve everybody's problem.
What is it about us that we want to do that?
Um,
Vicarious, like
we're gossip. No,
we're I think it's meddlers. We're yentas.
we're a little
Um,
bit.
but
Do people
also
know what the word yenta means? Yenta, like a
busybody. It's a
busy,
Jewish
a Yiddish
Yiddish
word.
word for a busybody, and it has a. We didn't want to use it because it's a little bit of a. We're not really nosy, and
No,
we're just. But there is. I
we just
think.
want to match everybody up.
Yeah, I think I want everyone to be as happy as me. Um, so yeah, I think I whenever I hear about somebody who's single, the first thing I think of is who do I know if they're looking, you
Right.
know. Um,
And
and
I'm the same. And if somebody needs a job, I'm immediately thinking like,
who do I
who do I
know?
know and what can I do?
Right.
So that's
And our kids don't listen to us, so we needed
no,
to do a
right.
podcast to find people who would want to take
Would
our
want to listen to us.
advice.
So that's one
Yeah,
aspect of it. And then we have many friends. I mean, how old are you?
I am 58.
Okay, and I'm 55, and we're sort of
Are
at
you?
that point I am
Hmm.
in our lives when we have some single women friends
Right.
and single men friends
Yeah.
too, more women I would say.
Hmm.
Um, and we
Who are,
people are always asking us like, who can you introduce me to?
yes.
And so you wanted to do something with matchmaking,
Hmm.
and I kind of like the idea of crowdsourcing because
Right.
I don't feel like we're necessarily qualified to be matchmakers, but we feel like everybody knows somebody they're trying to set up. The world is getting smaller. So even if you introduce somebody, in New York to somebody from California, it doesn't mean they can't move, especially a lot of the people we know are retired. They can move.
Right. They're not
So
totally rooted or,
right. And
right.
some people, we know plenty of people in New York. And if we open this up to the whole world, then we know people, or maybe our listeners will know people in New York who know somebody who might be a good fit for somebody we know who lives in New York. So the other aspect of it is we know people who have been on the apps.
Oh, so yeah, the apps, from what we hear from our friends, I have a friend that's been on the apps for 20 years and on and off. I mean, I don't think anyone can stay on them all the time. And it sounds depleting. It sounds, um, oh, it just sounds awful,
It
right?
sounds
Like in the beginning, I think it sounds like you may be a little bit excited and
like
then,
a kid in a candy shop, and then it's like swipe, 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 and
yeah,
people don't answer you, and people misrepresent who they
yeah.
are.
Oh, it
Um,
sounds like a nightmare. We hear that. Yeah, so
and you were telling me about somebody who had somebody write their profile.
yeah, somebody was telling me recently that their friend wrote a profile for them and it brought in so much brought them
People,
better people for them. Because so this is all sort of like how we started thinking about what can we do in this world to like
what can
take
we bill and how can we help out in
right.
this area?
And what made me feel so comfortable going out with Michael was that I already knew he already
He
came with
was vetted.
reference. He was vetted. I didn't have any worry about safety. I didn't have any worry. He was your friend, he was your colleague.
Right.
I knew
I
you.
do have to say, I didn't think it was going to be a match.
No, I,
He wanted to date, he asked me if I knew anybody who was Jewish and single, and you were the only one I knew.
mhm.
Um, I didn't think it was going to be a good fit. Um,
It's crazy that it is.
it is a good fit, but you guys are a case of opposites attract
We're a case of opposites
in some
attract,
ways.
and we're a case of people who are willing to make it work.
Right. Oh yeah.
Like we know people, like there are women who will say, well, he's not my type, or maybe somebody would have said, I don't want to go out with him because he answered that he wasn't tall. And I'm like, what's the difference? And then,
Right.
um,
My mother used to say to me when I was a teenager, she would
mhm.
pick up her hand and she would say in her Israeli accent, men all like this in bed, all the same. And fold her hand like all the
They're all the
fingers
same
that are
size.
different sizes when you bend them, they're all the same.
That's very
Yeah.
funny. So, um, anyway, we wanted to come up with a concept that gave reference, somehow allowed for people to feel like they were getting somebody who was vetted,
Yeah,
um, kind of like a friend of a friend,
right.
because that took away so much of the anxiety. Um,
And also take some of the pressure off trying to present yourself, like have your friends and family talk about you.
Right. So we decided further that we would ask what if we had a person who we're calling a love seeker who's interested in meeting somebody, they would give us the names of references, their friends, exes, children, adult children, that we would talk to get a fuller picture of who they think would be a good fit for their love seeker. And we think that sometimes other people are better at seeing that,
Yeah.
breaking the patterns of, like we all know we see our friends repeat mistakes and
Right.
date the
Right.
wrong
Sometimes
people.
who your friends think you should date is not who you want to date.
Mhm.
And sometimes it helps for somebody else to pick the person for you and say, here's who we think is a good fit. Um, so what we're thinking we're doing here is basically we're going to present somebody that we've interviewed and talked to their loved ones, one or two of their friends or family. We're going to let them speak a little bit in their own voice, but also summarize how we view them, and then put it out there to all of our listeners to
You guys.
see who we're calling our cupids, and who do you know, maybe you, maybe your brother, maybe your sister, maybe your father, who may be a good maybe your dog, who could be a
Mhm.
good fit for this person. And then we do the vetting in the other direction, where if we find somebody we think is a good fit, we're going to talk to their friends and family,
Right.
find out about them, and see if we can make matches. Like we're really hoping to make some matches here. Um, should we just dive in and
Sure. So we, having started this,
oh, let's talk a little bit about
since
what happened.
we
Yeah.
decided to do this, which has been about
17 years ago?
yeah, a couple
A
years
couple
ago,
years ago.
I came to Tamar with the idea, and um, we work well together. We have different skill sets, but we both are passionate about this, and I knew she would do most of the work. And I'm the big vision. I'm a visionary.
You'll provide the money and I'll do
I'm a
the
visionary. Um, so I can't be bothered with the details. Um, so we were getting into it, and things were progressing, and we were
Yeah.
making some headway, albeit it was taking us a while, and
Right. Well, we
doing
were
other
both
things.
working.
Yeah, and doing
Yeah.
other things. This was not the only thing we were working on.
Right.
Um, and then which happened first?
First, well, I think around the same time Helene happened, and you were
Well,
so
start with Helene.
I moved to Asheville like about a year and a half ago, and not too long after we moved, maybe 6 months after we moved, Helene happened. So then we evacuated, came back to State College. While I was in State College with you visiting, you were getting a diagnosis.
I was diagnosed in October of 2024 with a recurrence, or not even a recurrence, but with a second time of breast cancer. And so everything sort of came to a halt.
And we talked about working on this because you would need a distraction, but the reality
It
was
was,
you
you didn't
couldn't.
have the energy. I
Yeah.
mean, chemo's, yeah. So, I am now in radiation. I made it through chemo. I made it through the mastectomy. I think I'm doing pretty well, and I'm ready to do this now.
Yeah, so we're chugging at it again. So should we dive
Yeah, let's
in?
start.
Let's just start. We're gonna start with one of our love seekers. So our terminology is we have love seekers. These are the people that we're gonna feature on the podcast and on our website, callingallcupids.com. And then we have what we're calling catches. The catches are the people that the Cupids are
You
everybody
guys.
listening to this. Cupids help us find the catches who we introduce to the love seekers. That's kind of the terminology. So our first love seeker is my friend MJ, and MJ is a new friend of mine who I met in Asheville. She's one of the women I play mahjong with, and I just think she's fabulous.
Yeah, I
You met
haven't met
her.
her in
You
real
met
life.
her on
I met
Zoom.
her on Zoom, and man, would I love to meet her in real life.
She's a character.
She's a character, and I like characters. You know
Yes,
that. She is not,
a shrinking violet.
no, she's not a shrinking violet. I don't know if, yeah, she's not a shrinking violet. And you can tell, even just on Zoom, that when she would walk into a room, she would
Oh yeah,
command,
she's a bombshell. I mean,
yeah.
and I can't.
Well, she's a bombshell, and she is. But let's also talk about her age, because
70,
you normally don't say 70 and bombshell,
bombshell,
but she's got a
long hair,
very
tall,
sensual,
very sexy,
hmm
very sensual,
very confident.
very confident.
I mean,
She commands
yeah,
the room.
yeah, like she's like actually aspirational, I would say.
Yeah,
As at my age, like, when you look at the women, I started looking who's older than me that still looks good and is still doing,
yeah.
and she's somebody like I would put as a,
And she's definitely no airs. I mean, she is herself.
yes,
She just puts it out there who she is, which I love about her.
right. Maybe that's not always the easiest
Maybe
person to
not.
be in a relationship, and maybe
Maybe
that,
not, but it's got to be somebody and who's very confident in their own
right,
right. But let's pause for a minute and let's just let MJ give a little bit of her own background
great.
and talk a little bit about herself, and then you and I will dive back in.
Okay.
I was raised by a single parent, a mother who was very controlling and who was also very accomplished in the world, very successful, even at an age when women usually hit a glass ceiling, and she did. She hit one. But she raised me as a single parent. I'm an only child. I was certainly spoiled, and I certainly saw no model of what a relationship should look like. And so I think I grew up with a couple of things. This gets very, I don't want to get too detailed here, but I definitely grew up without a model of how you succeed in a relationship. And I definitely grew up with that romantic notion that love was going to be love all the time. I was more in love with love, for example, than with my first husband, who was awesome as a person. He was a bit older than I was. I was replacing dad in a sense, the dad I didn't have, and but he was a spectacular person, and other than age inappropriate, perhaps he was certainly appropriate for me in every other way. He was my best friend. He remained a close friend of mine until he died. He was older. My second husband, I have nothing to do with. That was a truly addictive kind of connection for all of us. And I've been in touch with him from time to time, but we don't connect. So I always was trying to recreate my relationship with, or my non-existent relationship with my dad. And if somebody would stick around, Well, that meant they weren't dad. And, this is not something I recognized at the time, but when years and years of therapy and group and 12 steps and self-help books and self-help group. I mean, I really spent a lot of time looking at me and who I was, and I could see the patterns. I did come to a point, so I felt like I had grown in my choices. My third husband was an excellent choice. My second wasn't. He was an addict, and I got addicted to him. But my third husband was an excellent choice. Good guy, good skills for relationships. But again, when he stuck around, when he was really there for me, well, that's not dad. And so whatever is inside me that I can't fix or change, shut down. And so we became friends, but I wasn't willing to have the relationship be anything other than friends. And after almost 10 years, long story, many details later, we parted very amicably and have stayed very close since then. I don't know that I have changed that pattern. I know I understand the pattern. I know that I know that the years of looking at how humans work and how I work and how the law of attraction in the universe works has put me in a place where I believe I understand how to make a relationship work. I'm not saying I know how that I could do it, but I believe that it's really kind of boils down to a very simple way of looking at things. And this works in relationships too, if I concentrate on what you create for me or we create together that is positive, I'm going to get more of that. But if I worry about whether you squeeze the toothpaste or put the toilet paper roll on, or you're clean enough, or I don't know, all the things that we can do to pick apart the other person in our life, if I focus on any of those things and try to fix you or change you, or it's not going to be helpful. I'm going to get more of what I don't like out of you, So I think I understand the dynamics. I'm not sure that I've been able to address the inability to stay connected to someone who's very connected to me. In other words, I shut down emotionally. I'm not sure I have fixed that. But I am not sure I'm as vulnerable to the onset of the addictive infatuation that would lead me there. So I think I might be, again, I haven't dated for too many years. I can't say, well, now I approach things very differently. But I do believe I haven't been interested. Hormones are gone. And coincidentally, or because of menopause, I just stopped being terribly interested in sex or relationships. And this is going to sound a little bit arrogant, but I am independent emotionally and financially. I'm okay being alone and have been for a long time. There are some things that have come to pass for me recently where I began to think, might be nice to have a partner again. Might be nice to have someone to travel with. It might be nice socially, because one of the drawbacks of being single is that most of the people I know are married, and they want me to be with a partner to invite to dinner. And so
isn't that so strange that people are so uncomfortable including single, or just don't think of their single friends when they do things?
I think, and this is going to sound conceited or something, but I'm kind of sexy, and I think, and I can't help it. I have big boobs. I have long, well, I could cut my hair, but I'm not going to. And I am sensual. And I think that women are often threatened by a single woman who might steal her husband, and women do steal husbands. So I totally understand that, well, no, we're not inviting MJ to dinner, the three of us, because what if she connects with him? That's
MJ, are you a real flirt with men?
I can be. I think so. I I mean, if I am with a couple, I do my very best not to be.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not warm and sweet and cuddly but I don't think I'm flirtatious in a way that would be obvious. But I think I flirt with women. I mean, I like women too. I'm actually bisexual.
Oh,
Which I hadn't thought about even exploring with you because I think of me as primarily heterosexual. But I have had relationships with women. I'm not closed to the concept of a partnership with a woman. There are times when I think maybe you shouldn't think about men now. Maybe if you want a relationship in your later years, it should be with a woman. I'm not even sure, and I said this to Tamar the other day, I'm not 100% sure that I'm very sexually motivated. There are times when I am, but I used to, for example, I used to masturbate daily, sometimes many times a day for much of my life. Now, a month could go by. Not usually, but I don't think about it a lot. So there's a part of me that says, maybe I could be in a relationship with a man or a woman, I don't care, of which sexuality is not a component or a large component.
Right.
On the other hand, if I did fall in love with somebody, I think I'd want to have sex, so I don't really know. It's been so long since I've had a strong attraction. I haven't really dated. I mean, there's one person in the last 18 years that I had sex with, and I did that because I love him. I still love him. He's a wonderful man. He ticks every box I'd like ticked. He was in love with me, but all I felt was warmth and loving attraction to him. And so I thought, okay, well, I know that if you have sex and you have an orgasm, oxytocin or whatever it's called is released, and maybe I could attach to him because he sure is attached to me and he's all right for me every other way. It didn't work. And I had a good orgasm. He was very skilled, but that wasn't what tipped the, and it's a more complicated story than that. But is that a good summary of?
Yeah, I think that's a
it's great.
great summary.
so MJ right now lives in the winter in Key West, Florida, and or half the year in Key West and half the year summer-ish in Asheville. And she might eventually relocate full-time to Asheville.
Sounded like
Thinking about it, but she is sort of still connected to Key West. Grew up in Florida.
Probably Key West is the only part of Florida that seems like I would be
Livable.
okay with. Anyway.
Yeah. She loves to travel. She really is looking for somebody who will elevate her. Not that she's not already pretty fucking good in her own right, but she doesn't want somebody who's going to bog her down. She's trying to eat healthy. She's lost a lot of weight recently. She wants to continue losing weight. She wants to eat well. She wants to.
She hikes and she walks and she does yoga.
And she wants somebody she will aspire to do things with rather than somebody she needs to drag off the couch with her. She also has said that she wants somebody smarter than her. Now, I don't know that I really take that on face value so much. I think what she wants is somebody she can have a deep conversation with who will expose her to things that she's maybe not.
She still wants to learn.
Right.
She still wants new experiences.
Right. Somebody who's going to intrigue her and she will do the same for them.
Absolutely.
So it's not like she's going to sit there like learning from them. She has plenty to offer, but she does want somebody who's going to have a stimulating conversation. So somebody confident who can hold their own, who's not going to be intimidated by a
strong woman,
a
really strong woman who knows herself well.
Right.
Sexually,
I think my sense is that in previous years she was I don't even know the word for it. Probably quite sexually active.
Yeah.
And she's a little older. To me, she still comes off as very sensual and sexual. Like, I think she exudes
Right.
that.
She's been in a dry spell, I think, and she
Right.
said of her own.
She has kind of said that it's been a long time, and maybe her interest in sex isn't what it used to be, but that if she was in love, she definitely wants to have, she would definitely want to have a physical relationship.
I know she loves to travel.
Yep.
I know she's Asia. Is that like a
I think
big?
she said she was planning a trip to Thailand
Yeah, and she really like a dream of hers is to have an RV, go in an RV and
and
just
travel
travel.
around.
My not my dream, man.
Not my
Can you
dream
imagine?
either.
Can't think of anyone I'd want to spend.
I'll take the RV and go
Right, by
from one
myself.
5-star hotel to the next 5-star
Yeah.
hotel.
So, um, okay, so what about like her, um, she's spiritual but not religious, I
Right.
think.
So, okay. So she's very active politically, probably more than any of my friends. She's posting constantly
Mm,
on Facebook and really knowledgeable and on top of what's going on politically. Very, very left.
left leaning.
I don't think she could date somebody who is not left leaning.
I think we're gonna have a lot of that on this
Probably.
podcast,
Okay.
probably.
So,
But yes.
Trump supporter.
So if you
no.
don't, this is where you can turn us off. If you don't like us now, you're not
Yeah.
gonna like us later.
Yeah. No. No.
We're not
Well,
really looking to match Trump supporters.
no,
We don't
not
care
at
if they
this
have
moment.
love.
Sick.
Okay. Anyway,
Anyway,
she was a journalist, I believe.
at one point, and then did real estate,
I
and
could
then
so see the real estate thing
right,
too.
I could too. And then early in the whole internet thing, I think she got really into marketing, like what's it called?
Direct.
Search engine
Oh,
optimization kind of
we
stuff.
could have her help us.
Well, I think what's happened is Google has made
Mhm.
it that you can't really
Mhm. Do that.
work the
Yeah.
system as well. And so she stopped when she felt like she couldn't really add any value, she stopped doing that. What else do we want to say
Well,
about
she's
her?
certainly self-sufficient, so she needs
Right,
her guy to be at least as self-sufficient, right?
right.
I mean, and I don't know, ultimately, I think it would be she would like somebody who she could see more often. But I think if somebody's thinking of somebody they know that feels like a good match but doesn't live in Asheville,
Yeah.
I mean, she would be open to meeting somebody who would fly in for a weekend or travel somewhere
I think
eventually.
she would like a partner. One of the things she mentioned was that it's hard being single and she feels like she doesn't get invited
Mhm.
over to social events with people who are couples, like dinner parties.
Right.
And she doesn't know if it's just that she's overlooked as a single person, but we hear this again and again from single people that they're not
Well,
often
she did
included.
say that a lot of women see her as a
She wondered
could
if
be
she
see
is
her as
viewed
a
as a
threat
threat,
because of her.
looks and flirtiness.
Mhm.
And she's not flirty, but she is vivacious. So it's
Have you
like,
ever seen her around men? Like, have you been with her in any social setting?
yeah, here and there, but
Mm-hmm.
I just think she sort of exudes that sensuality.
Yeah, she does.
So there's that. We also talked to her ex-husband,
Yes,
one of her
ex-husbands.
ex-husbands,
I was gonna.
and she did well, one of her ex-husbands and also one of her friends, and they were very consistent, all three of them. Basically, like, sometimes we talk to people and what the loved one says about the person is a different story than what the person says
Mm.
about themselves. In this case, it was all very
Consistent.
consistent. Everybody said, and MJ said this about herself, that she's a talker, she is very interesting, never boring, very funny, very fun. And when we asked what the hard aspects were, they were consistent too, that she's opinionated, she likes to be right, she has a hard time compromising, and so she needs somebody who is confident but also patient, and also maybe if she wants to run at the sign of trouble, is going to be like a calming force in
Here's
that.
the thing. I'm going to say this is kind of a blanket statement that may not end up being true, but I have a feeling, especially with our older women that we are going to be matching, the women that so far who we've talked to are pretty consistent in this idea that their lives are great. They're successful, they're financially independent. This is true of MJ, this is true of some of the other, most of
Right.
the other women. This, any mate, any potential guy has to add value to her life,
Right.
has to bring
She's
something to
not
the
going to
table.
settle.
She's not going to settle, and she's not going to put up with bullshit.
Right.
So here's what you do. If you know somebody or you're interested in seeing more about MJ or learning more about us, check out our website. We have some of our love seekers on there already, and you can see their pictures and read their bios. We do have MJ on our website, so you can get a visual of what we're talking about, read a little more about her. Um, and then, you think about who you know. If you know somebody who you think would be a good fit, you reach out to us via the website.
Yep.
And we will, before we would ever give any names to MJ or introductions to MJ, we'll take the person that you give us and we'll probably interview you about them as one of their references, and then eventually talk to them and, see what we think, so that we're giving MJ somebody that we have
Vetted.
vetted. So we've not done this before. This is our first episode.
Right.
We don't know. This is an
We don't know what
experiment.
we're doing. It is an
And
experiment.
we're really excited because we think we're onto something.
Yeah.
And people are really excited when they hear the way we've described what we're doing.
Right. So let's just end it here for now and hope that our listeners will help us find somebody for MJ.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. If you or someone you know is looking for love, reach out. Maybe you'll be the one to shoot that Cupid's arrow. We present new love seekers every episode, so subscribe to our podcast, Calling All Cupids, and help us grow the love by leaving a review.
Our website is called callingallcupids.com. You can also connect with us on social media. Check us out and help us spread the love.